Welcome to the Story A Day podcast. This is Julie Duffy from storyaday.org, encouraging you to be a writer every day, not someday. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Julie here from Story A Day, and today I want to make you uncomfortable. I'm sorry, but here it is. I want to talk this week about the necessity of us, of we writers, being able to talk about ourselves and about our works. Yes, I'm talking about writing your bio and writing summaries of your work. I'm not even going to give you heart palpitations and make you think about querying longer works yet. I'm just talking about trying to get enough information to let readers know if they're going to like you and if they're going to like your book. Why is this so hard for us? How do you feel right now when I'm talking about this? Are you like, you're cringing. You want to turn this off, don't you? Because you do not want to think about the fact that you have to write a bio and you have to write summaries of your works. You have to be able to tell people about your work. You want somebody else to do all of that for you. Well, you know what they say about teaching a man to fish? I am going to talk to you a little bit today to convince you that you don't need to hire someone else to do this. You don't need to wait for a publisher to pick you before you'll get a stellar bio. Let's think about the purpose of a bio and a summary. When you pick up a book, when you hear about a story that you might want to read, somebody does a little intro and says, "We've got a new story for you this week in the online journal." It's about, right? When you read that, the job of that bio, or that summary rather, is to attract you, to intrigue you, to make you interested in reading the story. It's not really a summary. It's an advertising piece. It's a marketing piece. And this, I think, is where the problem comes in. Think about it. Everything that you have ever bought, invested time in, every cause you've supported is something that you have invested in because someone told you that it was good and that maybe you'd like it and that maybe it was worth your while. And they discovered it because someone manipulated them into thinking it was worth trying, which happened because somebody believed it was good enough to create. They believed in what they were creating and they believed in sharing it. And this is where we run into problems because most of us were raised to believe that tooting your own horn, blowing your own trumpet, these things were bad. You weren't supposed to do these things. It was arrogant, it was immodest and unattractive at best, or it was arrogant, narcissistic, sociopathic, manipulative at worst. But everything that you have consumed has happened because somebody put it in your hands and told you it was good. And someone somewhere had to start that chain of events. As a creator, you have to believe that the story that you're writing is going to do for readers what happened to you the first time you were transported by words on a page. Remember that first time when you read Ursula Le Guin or Dickens or Leanne Moriarty or Margaret Atwood or Edgar Carrot, somebody who took you out of your daily life for a moment, gave you a vision of something you could never have had, tickled your intellect with a beautiful turn of phrase. You experienced joy in that moment. It's not vulgar or narcissistic or arrogant to offer that experience to someone else. Your creativity is a gift to us. You have a responsibility to offer that gift to as many people as possible. Your creative works are not like pie. They are not finite. A story that you write could be enjoyed by everybody on the planet. It's your responsibility to share with us what you have for us. And that, I'm afraid, means learning to talk about yourself and your work in a way that attracts the readers who want to read what you're writing. Attract the readers who will enjoy, who will love, who will be transported by the same things that you're transported by. The good news is that this is not an innate talent. It's not something you can just do or not do. I see people all the time rolling their eyes and going, oh, I can't talk about myself. I can't summarize my work. I can't write a bio. Yeah, you can. It's a skill. It's a skill that can be learned. And the really good news is that it's a skill that can be taught far more easily than the skill of writing compelling fiction. The only really hard part is allowing ourselves to believe that we can do it and allowing ourselves to believe that we have this responsibility. So before you sit down to write a bio or a summary or anything else that makes you feel squeamish because you'll be talking about yourself and you just feel yuck about it, before you sit down to do that, take a moment to remember when you first fell in love with someone else's words, or when you read something that touched you, or changed you, or reached you at just the right moment in your life. Think about the reader who's out there waiting for an experience like that. You can't really control their reaction to your words. You can't control whether anybody's going to love what you write. You can do your best with the writing, and then you can put as much generosity into your communication about what you've written as possible. Think about that reader before you sit down to write your promotional materials. Even if it's a bio going on a submission to a publication. Understand the purpose of that piece. The purpose of that piece is not to blow your own trumpet. The purpose of that piece, I'm going to talk about more next week, but basically the purpose of that piece is to give the person who's reading it confidence that you're someone they can trust, that you're someone who they can put 10, 15 minutes of their life into your hands and you won't waste it. And if you think about the reader and you think about the gift that your writing could be to them if they connect with it the way that you connected with something that transported you, then the question becomes not how do I write this, but how dare I deny someone that experience just because I find it icky to talk about myself? What's worse? Talking about yourself in your writing, or being so self-absorbed that you won't even show your writing and share that joyful experience with someone else? I'm going to extremes here just to kind of make you see the flip side of that. I'm not actually saying that you're a horrible person, but there's another side to this. Your job with these documents, bios and summaries, is to attract the right people and to let the people who probably won't enjoy your writing know that straight off by being as like your own self and being as effective in your communication as possible. We lack the skills to talk about ourselves and to summarize our work, in part because the creative process is so in-depth. We go so deeply into the story and the characters and the themes. It's hard to pull ourselves back up and see it from a bird's eye view. But there are skills that we can learn. And we lack a lot of these skills because we were not taught them early in life. We're not taught how to talk about ourselves. We're not taught how to sell what we have to offer. In fact, most of us were probably taught the opposite. But you are a smart, articulate, sensitive, and deeply insightful person. The saying that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, or that money is the root of all evil, all of these things kind of are in the back of your mind when you're thinking about talking about yourself. I think you don't, if you're scared of coming across as braggadocious, I think if you're a writer, it's very unlikely. I think if you're a writer who feels awkward talking about themselves, it's very unlikely you're going to go to the other extreme. If you use the skills properly, you can. Sometimes when people are insecure, it can come across as bragging because they don't quite know how to be humble and giving at the same time. But there are ways we can do this. You can absolutely learn how to talk about your work and yourself in a way that shows readers that they want to invest their time hanging out with you. But I'm not even going to talk about any of that stuff this week because I could tell you tips and tricks for that, and I will in future episodes. But if you don't believe and if you don't fully understand the purpose of writing your bio and writing summaries and writing query letters and doing flap copy for your books if you're self-publishing, writing press releases about your book, doing marketing for your stories, if you don't understand and really let it sink in, the purpose of every communication that isn't your actual work is to help readers find you. They're looking for you. They're longing to connect with someone. I read a lot of books I haven't connected with. I am so happy when I find the ones I connect with, and I know you are too. So we're going to keep talking about this for the next few episodes, I think. And I'm going to put together a workshop on this as well, so watch for that. But I want to say one more thing before I get off this topic for this week. Not everyone is going to like your writing. Not if you're doing it right, because you can't please everyone. And if you are writing with any verve, any oomph, any personality, any voice, then some people are going to really not like it. And that's great, because then you are freed from trying to make everyone happy. And the good news is the same goes for your bio and your summary. Not everyone is going to be attracted to the marketing pieces that you write. In fact, you kind of want to repel people as quickly as possible. You don't want to suck someone in and then have them read your story and be annoyed because it wasn't what they thought it was going to be. So writing your bio and your summary, knowing that you're not going to be able to make everyone happy or attract everyone to your work, is a wonderful thing because it frees you from the necessity to be perfect. There's no way that you can write the perfect bio or the perfect summary that will appeal to everyone. You just can't. It doesn't exist. But the flip side of that is there's no way for you to get it 100% wrong either. You can't, you can't get it all right. You can't get it all wrong. So the bar is a little bit lowered. There's no perfect summary out there. There's no perfect bio out there. There's just what works for you, what connects with an audience, and nothing is set in stone these days. Nothing's even set in hot type these days. Everything can get changed. You can react, you can tweak, everything can be changed. Even after a book has been published, stuff can get changed. Even after a story has been published, things can be changed. So all you have to think about when you're writing bios and summaries is the purpose. You want to attract people. You want to give them the opportunity to be transported the way you are when you read your favourite author's works. And when you are writing these summaries and bios, it's not about you. You are writing something that you would want to read if you picked up a book in a bookstore. You're writing just enough bio that you would enjoy that kind of bio if it was written about somebody else. You're writing these things purely for the reader. They're not even really thinking about you as a person. They don't know all the ins and outs and nuances of your story. These pieces are just advertising. They're just marketing. It's not personal. And it doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm going to talk more next week about the parts of the pieces of a bio, the pieces of a summary, some of the skills that you might need to master to get them good, so that you don't have to think about them again. Because once you've written a bio, you can use the same bio forever if you want to, or you can tweak it as things change, as stories, as you write about different topics, you might want to tweak them differently. So we'll talk about the purpose of a bio, the pieces of a bio, the purpose of a summary, the pieces of a summary. We'll do a little look into that next week. But I'd be very interested to hear from you. If anything in this podcast struck you, send me an email at julie@storyaday.org and let me know, how did you feel when I started talking about bios and summaries, and if anything has changed by the end of this podcast. Can you see it? Can you see the purpose of these things as you being generous rather than you bragging? You have a gift to give us, and you want us all to have it, and you want us all to find it. So don't wrap it in camouflage, right? Wrap it in a bright red box with a bright purple bow. Stick a little firework on top if it's flame retardant. I don't know, I'm losing my metaphor now. Anyway, I want you to not be scared of bios and summaries. That's what I'm going to be talking about for the next couple of weeks. And I know that a lot of you out there are working on NaNoWriMo novels at the moment. As I record this, we're coming up to the end of the second week, and I just want to send you all the support in the world. The second week, coming up to the end of the second week, going into the third week is tough if you're keeping up the right pace, because you're smack dab in the middle of the story now. This is where it gets complicated. I just want to reassure you, everyone loses their way here. Everyone. Best-selling authors that I've interviewed, everyone I know, some of the most prolific writers I know, lose their way at this point, and the only way to live with yourself is to keep going. Don't stop now. Think about the fact that at this point in the novel, I mean, you're probably still exploring and opening up opportunities as I talk, because week 2 is not even over yet. But as you come into week 3 and 4, you're going to, if you're writing towards the end of the story, you want to get it finished by the end of November, you need to start getting all your cattle into the chute. You need to start limiting their choices. All your characters are like, animals, and you're herding them down to this final exit. So you have to start limiting the options that they have. And that's hard. Especially because your inner editor is saying, but I have to make it good, and I have to make it not obvious to the reader that if they make this choice, then obviously this is, she's the killer. Whatever you're writing, the same kinds of calculations are going to come into your brain. I just want to remind you, you do not have to make it good. It does not matter if somebody reading over your shoulder could spot the killer a mile off right now, because you get to revise this. You don't have to write it perfectly. You just have to get through it. Get to the end, get to the end, get to the end. This is me beating my drum. I say it with short stories. I say it with novels. Get to the end and you will learn so much more than if you just keep starting new stories. Good luck. I'm rooting for you, and keep writing. If you want to learn to write, don't read another book or article. Start writing. I'm here to invite you to consider the Story a Day 3-day challenge. It's a challenge and a workshop that gets people writing and completing stories in just 3 days. And it works. I'm fanatical about getting more and more diverse stories into the world, and I think yours should be among them. If you're feeling the pull to write or level up your storytelling, let me hold your hand through 3 days of short story writing. Check out the 3-day challenge at storyaday.org/3DC. Thanks for listening. Why not come over to the blog at storyaday.org and check out this week's writing prompts and articles. And in the meantime, have a great creative week and of course, keep writing.